Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Knitting All the Blankets podcast. My name is Corey, and you can find me on Ravelry as Crafts by Corey. And there is a Ravelry group for this podcast, and it's just called the Knitting All the Blankets podcast. So if you're not a member of that, please come over and join up. I've got an introductory thread, an Ask Me thread, and that's where I'll post show notes and other information in each episode. Something's in my throat. I'd like to say hi to all my new viewers. If you're just stopping by or if you've randomly found me on YouTube, awesome. And a welcome back to all my returning viewers. So I'm going to get started. In this episode, I finally started the Boneyard Shawl. I'm going to talk about that later because I kind of have to rant about it a little bit. But first, I want to show off the mini skeins I got from Anne. For those of you who are regular viewers, you know my friend Anne of Twin Mommy Creations spins and dyes her own yarn and fiber, and she's been making mini skeins at my request. Well, I finally saw her since she had completed her cocktail mini skeins, and so I picked those up last week from her. And this is what they look like. Isn't that cute how they're packaged? Her packaging is always so cute. Okay, before I tell you their colors, this is what it looks like. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And those are the colorway names, and I know that's hard to read, so I'm going to point them out. Okay, this top one, this nice bright pink one, that one is Tequila Sunrise. This next one is Elf's Kiss. This one is Blue Curacao. I always say Curacao, and then my husband corrects me. This one is Bramble, because apparently the drink, you put fresh blackberries in it as a garnish. And then the one on the bottom is Absinthe Elixir, and I think they're just beautiful. So, I have my next set of minis. She had told me she had other mini sets with her, and I looked at those. One set was very primary and secondary colors, kind of looked like your original Crayola crayon box. And I already have one of those in the Lion Brand Bonbons, so I didn't really want to repeat that. And the other one was just, it was just some random solids, like blue and brown, but it wasn't the Crayola box. And I wasn't feeling it at that point. I like the colorful ones. I like the ombre'd ones because I like how they're gonna look. So that's more minis for my mini skein 10 stitch, which I know last week I said I was going to show you. Well, I did not work on it at all this week. I ended up finishing up the Burnout Blue Icicle Cotton that I've been knitting on, and I finished that up last night. And so now I can start working on the mini skein 10 stitch and the squares for my brother's blanket, because I haven't been working on that either. I knew the cotton was not going to take me very long to knit up because of just how much of it there was. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And this also frees up all my cones, so I can cone up all the yarn I showed off not last week, but the week before, of the new burnout skeins that I'm going to knit up for the next 4 months. So we'll see how that goes. And speaking of mini skeins, I was watching Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast yesterday. Her latest episode is out, and she and I both seem to have a mini skein addiction, though I certainly wish I could be more like her and just buy them up every chance I get. So as she was showing off all of the new minis that she got, I'm sitting here making notes. I'm like, oh, I need to go to Desert Vista Dye Works. I need to go to Gnome Acres. I've never heard of this dyer before. I need to write them down. So I was making lots of notes while I was watching her podcast. So, yeah. So, yeah. Mini skein addiction. It's a real thing. And I found the mini skein group on Ravelry, and I've also joined that. So, they've got a Gone with the Wind one going on right now. So, and I'm tempted to join that one. Tempted. So, now, the big news of the podcast. The Boneyard Shawl. I've talked about this for the last couple weeks, saying, oh, I'm going to start it, I'm going to start it, I'm going to start it. Well, last Sunday I did. I went to our bobbin lace meetup, and instead of working on bobbin lace, I decided to just start this shawl. And before I show you the progress on it, I just want to say, I had to rip out and restart probably dozen times, because at the very beginning, the instructions on it, and I've got the bag right next to me. Anybody's ever done this shawl, you know, and it's the Boneyard Shawl by Stephen West. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. You have your setup rows. You have 3 setup rows before you actually start. And I was fine with that to a point. Thank God for YouTube, because I could not for the life of me remember how to do a make one right or make one left. Could not remember. So I'm sitting there at Charlene's studio, and I've got YouTube on, and I'm going, what is she doing? And so I found a couple videos that were very helpful with that. Something else that I think was the problem, and don't ask me why I decided to do this. I probably did it because I had 3 balls of this, and I'm like, oh, I can alternate them, make it symmetrical. But I've shown this before. This is one of the yarns that I will be using. It's a very pretty, soft, squishy yarn. But it is also a double strand. Is that coming out? You see that? It's a double strand. So, trying to do a make one with this is not easy. And that's actually why I kept tearing it out over and over and over. And, my friend, and Anne, who had also done the shawl, she hadn't gotten to bobbin lace yet, and I wanted her to be there because she's made the shawl, and I just needed to vent to her about how frustrated I was. Well, finally, about right before she got there, I got it. And I was able to just start, and, you know, I had my little row counter thing, and luckily it goes in sets of 12, which what I ended up doing on the pattern was I just wrote on there whenever I needed to do something different. I wrote what the increments of 12 was up to 99, so that way I don't have to actually keep count of rows, if that makes sense, because the pattern says on every 12th row knit the entire row instead of doing the pattern. So I did that, and it's been helping. Let me see if I can find my little row countery thing. The needles I'm using currently are Clover US size 8, 5mm. It's a 24-inch cable, and they're circulars. I always keep the packaging for my needles in the bag I'm knitting them in. That way, I now try to keep all my needles, when I'm not using them, I keep them in their packaging for as long as the packaging lasts. So there it is. Alright, I have done 50 rows. So I know this says 51, but that just tells me that I'm on row 51, which means I'm on an odd row and I have to follow the directions for the odd rows. It makes sense in my head. So this is where I am. And I'm getting to the point where I'm going to need to switch over to another size circular needle. Because that's... Don't you love ends? This is what it's like. There's not... It's almost taken up the entire cable. So the pattern calls for US size 8s with a 32-inch cable. I don't have a 32-inch. So I need to go get one. So when I do, I'll switch it over. But this is what it looks like. And then for those who have made the Boneyard Shawl, you're looking at this going, you messed up. You're right. I did. And but so this ridge is right. That ridge is right. I totally somehow messed up right here. And I don't even know how I corrected myself to get back to here. And I was not going to rip it out. I thought about it and I'm like, oh God, if I rip it out, I may never restart it, just because of how much of a hassle it was to get it started the first time. I'm like, nope, not doing it. And I messaged Anne about it and she's like, Corey, it's your shawl. No one's going to care. Do you care? No. Then don't worry about it. So, and this is also how I should have held it up like this, because I was actually showing it to you upside down. So yeah, first ridge, second ridge, really bad mess up ridge. And I do have a progress keeper on here. It's the lightest one I have because this is so delicate. And it's just my little like houndstooth one right there. And it's hanging a few rows below the needle. I will move it closer after this. And yeah, because I've just done like the fourth ridge actually. Let me hold this up. That's the fourth ridge. So actually, I'm going to try to move it now. Try to move it now while on camera and screw all this up, right? Ow. Lobster claws are not forgiving. There's not. I'll do that later. So I've got two of the typical little plastic progress keepers to mark the center. The ones that you buy at Joann's. That's just what I had on hand. And that is it's my knitting needle. I prefer bamboo knitting needles personally, but that's just me. I'm still in my first ball of the cupcake yarn, and then after this one I'm going to go to this one. This is a it's a Wendy mod chunky 50% merino. What's the rest of it with? 50% wool, 50% acrylic. And the color is something. This is one that I bought for £1 50 at a store called Miles Apart in Amesbury. So that's what's next after this. And then after that one, it's going to be another one of these, because I have 3 of these. And then I have a hot pink. And then the final ball. So this is going to take me a while, and it probably will outgrow the bag that it's in. The bag that I have it sitting in is my little procrastinating tote bag that you can get at Joann's. A friend of mine gave that to me, so shawl's in there for right now. And yeah, So this has been good. I'm very proud of the progress that I've made on it, especially, you know, in spite of the screw up, but I don't care. I was just amazed I managed to get past it and get back to where I was supposed to be so I could start correcting myself with the pattern. Anyways. And, where was I going with that thought? Oh. It turns out I prefer knitting to purling because knitting I can do with my eyes closed and asleep, which I've been accused of. I don't have to look at my hands when I knit. When I purl, it's the stuff is up here making sure I purl correctly. I go so slow. It takes me twice, maybe 3 times as long to knit a row if I'm purling. So, and when every other row is a purl row, yeah. So, but for only working on it for a week, this is a week's worth of progress. So that's kind of impressive if you ask me. It's kind of impressive. So, but because it's getting bigger now, it is going to be slower. And, I mean, this is also the first, like, shawl I've ever made. Yes, I have my scrappy wrap back here in the background, but it's not a proper shawl. So, yeah. Oh, and something else I learned when I was still learning how to do the make ones right and left. Apparently, I didn't do those right because I must have done a yarn over instead or something, because I've got 2 holes near the bottom. Or the top, I guess. I keep holding this upside down. So I got 2 holes near the top. And once again, I'm not tearing it out because if I tear it out, I'll never knit with this yarn again. It was, yeah. And I even tried knitting different stuff. I got so frustrated when I started this thing that I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to try knitting something else with it. I'm going to try different cast on, a different increase. And because I thought it was the pattern that was frustrating me. Oh no, it wasn't the pattern. It's the fact that the yarn itself is a double strand. So, to anyone who has never knit a shawl before, when you go to knit your first shawl, do not use a yarn that's double strand. Don't do it. Because, like, when I go to do a make one, it's more difficult to try to do it because I usually only catch one of the strands instead of both of them. Yeah, it's kind of insane. So yeah. So not once again, not very much this week. Next week will be next week be the no. I thought next week was going to be the finished objects one, and no, it won't be. So we'll see what I have for you next week. I hope to have all the cones of yarn, all the new cotton coned up so I can show that off. And any progress I make on this. And if I end up, you know, if I end up with indulging in my mini skein addiction and buying more mini skeins, yeah, I'll show those off too. I'm trying to be good because I want to buy all of the mini skeins because I love the theme sets from Brew City Yarns. I really do. I've got a couple more sets, like a dozen more sets on my wish list from Brew City Yarns that I want to get. So yeah. Well, that's about it. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. That way you'll never miss a notification that I have another video for you to watch. If you haven't joined the Ravelry group, please go over and join that. I'm hoping once I get some more members in there, I can do a little giveaway. I don't know what I'll be giving away yet, but we'll see. Questions or comments, either put them in the comment section below on YouTube, or you're welcome to leave comments or questions in the Ravelry group. So I'll see you guys later. Have a nice day. Bye.